This is not a military takeover of government.
Zimbabwe on edge. President Robert Mugabe is confined to his home as the military deploys in the capital. Hello, I'm Nathan King, sitting in for Anand Naidu, and this is The Heat. It's been a tense 24 hours for Zimbabwe. Tanks and soldiers are patrolling the streets of Harare, with President Mugabe reportedly under house arrest. The military is calling it an operation to, quote, target criminals close to President Mugabe, and says the 93-year-old leader and his family are safe. But for the African Union, the crisis, quote, seems like a coup. From CGTN's Harare correspondent, Farai Mwakutuya has the latest.
Well, the situation here has been quite dramatic. The army says that it is in control of the situation. They've stormed the national broadcaster and other key government institutions and buildings. But they say this is not a military takeover. It is not a coup. It is just an operation to rid the ruling party of criminal elements whom it accuses of enriching themselves at the expense of ordinary Zimbabweans. It says it's had to take this drastic action to pacify a situation that could have degenerated into violence and unrest, and so it is stepping in to take these measures and address those issues. In terms of going after some of those criminal elements, the homes of a number of government ministers as well as higher-ranking ZANU-PF officials were stormed overnight as the army moved in to try and detain some of these elements who it says have basically misdirected and hijacked the ruling party and seen it deviate from its mandate. The situation on the ground has pretty much been business as usual. Harare not as busy as it normally would be, but certainly for those who did come out, it was business as usual. Banks were open, shops were open, people were going about their usual business. The army was present, though, especially around those key government installations, the parliament buildings, and indeed some of the government offices, as well as the court houses. Now, two special envoys sent in by South African President Jacob Zuma, who chairs the Southern African Development Community, are in Zimbabwe this evening, and they're due to meet both the army commanders as well as President Robert Mugabe, and this is essentially to negotiate a peaceful settlement to what we are seeing here. The region has called for a resolution, a peaceful resolution in line with the statutes and guidelines that it has come up with in terms of, transition, constitutional transition of power, and that is something that the region is calling for, and indeed these envoys are here to ensure that that indeed happens. We await to see what the next course of action will be, when the army intends to end this operation, which it says is temporary, when it will restore the normalcy that it says it will restore once its job is done, and what that normalcy will be at the end of this all. Farai Mwakutuya, CGTN, Harare, Zimbabwe.